This is Laura Bedlan with the city. She's in the process of handing out surveys in an effort to complete the comprehensive plan. You want to tell us something about this stuff?
I'll kind of give you my spiel here, but we're rewriting the comprehensive plan. As we've mentioned, we got a grant to do so through the needs assessment survey. That was that achieved two things for us. It got us the average income of the city so that we can show an income need, and then it also got us the just community input in general, and we got a great response on that, so that was really wonderful. So what that did is allowed us to apply for a grant with the Department of Economic Development. We received a grant in the amount of $27,000, and that grant is to write a comprehensive plan and a capital improvements plan. The comprehensive plan essentially is it's kind of the blueprint for the city. It's a map. What we're going to be talking about is where we are, where we want to be, and how we're going to get there. So it's kind of a roadmap of how we want to get to accomplish our goals as a city. In doing so, we need to get information back from just the regular citizens, and that's what these surveys are for. Like I said, we're also writing a CIP, that's Capital Improvements Plan, and that essentially is a plan for how you want us to invest our services and your tax dollars. What are the most important projects? What that will do is we will get with all the department heads, or actually Olson's has already spoken with all the department heads, and they'll generate kind of a list of projects that probably that they would like to see done within the next 5-10 years, maybe 20 years. Olson's will then go through and help us to prioritize those, and that will go before City Council, and then we'll kind of rank them. And ranking will be based on their prioritization, their need, the immediate need, and any finances we have to support the project.
Do you usually write these two plans at the same time?
No, we don't. And actually, we're in kind of a unique situation here where we are able to write them at the same time. And so we hope that the comp plan, or that the CIP plan, will help to kind of write the comp plan too. That we can, if we know that we want to put infrastructure in certain areas of town within the next 10 years, then we will want to be getting prepared for that. We'll want it in the comp plan so that zoning is correct, and we'll also want it in our CIP plan so that we know that we're going to need to start budgeting for that. That's what the comp plan is going to talk about. So when you fill out those surveys, it's going to be anything from, the comp plan covers zoning, it covers where you can put your garage on your own property, all the way up to parts of the city we may consider for annexation, to roads that need to be worked on, or areas of the city that we want to have in a maybe extra protective state, like the historic district or the corridors. Any of those things are all part of the comp plan.
Now, I understand you're using a bit of new technology for some of these surveys.
We are, new for us. A couple of things. We've got the hard copy surveys, which you can get around town.
Where are those located?
We've got them at all of the banks. I took them to Ray's, Verizon, Griffey's, Memories and More. Blowbaum has some, Jim's Barbershop, KUTT. The hospital, Blue Valley, the courthouse, community center, chamber office, and city offices. Those last few all have the surveys, and they have drop boxes. The large blue voter drop boxes have been donated to us by the county, and so just take them back to those. If there's there will be a list online, and then there's some spots in the survey if you pick it up. I'll tell you where you can pick it up and drop it off. So just drop it off. They will be read by us, and they'll also be read by an outsourced company. Olson's and Associates is helping us write our plan. So they'll have the information too, and it will all get compiled. We also have an online survey. You can go to fairbury.com and fill out the online survey. And we are doing a online town hall, which we've never done before. So that'll be interesting. But you'll go on Wednesday. You'll be able to log in, and there will be 5 or 6 questions maybe, topics I guess, that you can respond to, and people will be able to respond back to you. And we're trying to get some good, healthy conversation. We never know where the next great idea comes from, and we just need to really get the public's opinion on this.
Where would you log in at?
It's at Fairbury, or no, I'm sorry, it's at www.fairburytownhall.com is where you can get onto that. And I'll have that posted on the online website. It's also in the surveys, in the hard copy surveys.
Okay. Now, who's going to analyze the mind mixer, the Fairbury.com?
Olson's and Associates will keep a watch on that, and that's the Fairbury Town Hall, and they'll keep an eye on that, and they'll actually, it's kind of an interesting thing. The more people respond to you, the more points you get, and so it kind of brings you up to the top of the conversation scale, and so the ones that get lots of conversation generated surface to the top, and that's kind of how they're ranked. It's kind of a self-patrolling, self-ranking site. But Olson's will also review all that information along with us. And all of that will be kept, and it will get reviewed by the people writing the plan and the city officials involved.
How long will this site be up, the mind mixer site?
At least for a month at a minimum, and maybe even a little bit longer. And as we go, I encourage people to go back to it often, because probably once every week or week and a half we'll change out questions.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
it's going to be a rotating question?
Yep, it'll be kind of a continual thing. And I'll move questions that we've generated, the steering committee has generated kind of a list of questions about everything involved in the city. And on your questionnaires, if you have questions that you would like to recommend, you certainly can put those in there. But they will kind of rotate questions in and out, so that people have an opportunity to talk about a lot of issues.
So who's on your steering committee?
The steering committee is made up of the department heads and myself. So it'll be Joe Parker, Homer Ward, Mike Beechler, Mick Heineck, Cheryl Preston, Chad Sprunk, Eric Voss, and Laura Bedlan, myself. So you can contact any of us with any questions or concerns you would have. We'll be able to steer you in the right direction. The planners who are writing our plan are Olson's and Associates, Steve Miller, Denny Graham. We work with them an awful lot. They're pretty familiar with our city.
Now, is it just people who live in Fairbury that can do this?
No, it's people who live in Fairbury, around Fairbury, work or play in Fairbury. It doesn't matter. There's some questions on there about, how to get commuters here, what brings people to our town. So anybody and everybody has a relevant opinion for this.
So you actually want Jefferson County to answer this,
Correct.
if at all possible?
Yeah.
So this isn't something that's just limited?
No, and we do have some people even down in Kansas that will come up and work here and
that's
or
true.
shop here and stuff. So even outside of the county borders, it's not specific to any one group of people. We're really trying to get everybody's opinion on it.
So this ought to be you're trying to make this as widely applicable to as many people as possible.
Correct.
In other
correct.
words.
Obviously, it will affect everybody within our peripheral, which is the 1 mile district outside of the city limits, more so than it will anybody else, because that's our zoning and our zoning district and our ordinance district. So it will affect those people the most. However, we really want to hear from people in Beatrice, or people, like I say, anybody that does any business or lives here or works here or just comes here for softball tournaments, that wants to talk about the park. That's relevant. We need all of that information.
Yeah. So in other words, the goal of the comprehensive plan is try to make it as most viable plan for the future of Fairbury.
Correct. It's a plan that should
so that
last
we survive.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and there are some serious considerations there. We have a downturn in our population, and our income, population income has gone down significantly, and we need to figure out what we can do to keep what we have. Possibly bring in some new stuff, but that's what we need to. That's what we're going to the citizens for.
Will the comprehensive plan then maybe help bring in more industry into the town?
The comprehensive plan is a plan that's built for about 10 years out. You should have one for about 10 years. You should be looking at changes to it. But yes, it will talk about, you know, potential sites for industry. It talks about the economics of the city. It really is comprehensive. It's not just zoning issues and stuff like that, but it's got a lot to do with our civic organizations, you know, whether or not to expand the library, or where are we going to put infrastructure so that we can bring in business, how to keep our local businesses, you know, here and local thriving, what benefits we can help them with. So that's really, it's everything. It's a whole ball of wax.
When do you project having this all done?
It's an 8 to 10 month process. We're hoping for 8, but you know, somewhere in there. We started in November, I believe. I'm looking to get the data collection portion of this done. I'm hoping sometime end of January, end of January. We'll have all our data together. We will then give it to Olson's. Olson's will review it again and finish completing a couple of versions of the comp plan and the zoning. They will then bring that to a true town hall meeting that we're hoping will be a day-long event. Olson's, the planners will be here, the steering committee will be here. We encourage the public to come in. We're trying to have at least two sessions of it so we can get day workers and night workers both to attend. Come on in. We encourage people to come in and ask questions. Like I said, the planners and the steering committee will be there. Somebody should be able to answer your question at that meeting. Give comments, review the plans, look at the zoning, make sure you know any of your business properties or residential properties are zoned correctly, and come talk to us about it. And then Olson's will take that back, make a few more changes to it, present a final plan, which will go to 2 hearings, one at planning and zoning and one at council. So there will be a third and fourth opportunity to then speak out at a hearing too. So there's need plenty of feedback, and hopefully we'll get plenty of feedback at all of these meetings.
Will you be able to use these plans like to apply for grants?
Exactly. That's probably the second most important reason. I mean, first of all, we just want to get people's opinions and comments. We want to make sure everybody's involved in this process. But it's also critical for grant applications. When we go out for grants through the Department of Economic Development, the first thing they do is ask us what our city's income is. Is there a need? We've determined that with the LMI study that yes, we do have a need. We have an economic need. They will then ask us whether or not we've gotten community input. Again, with the needs assessment survey, we showed we got community input. Hopefully with this, we'll be able to show that we're getting more community input. Third thing they'll say is, okay, where do you have it in black and white? Show us your plan. You know, that right off the bat, those are the 3 things they ask for. And if we can show them our plan and a CIP plan now, letting them know that, yeah, we put some thought into this. We're trying to respond to our citizens' needs. And here's how we plan to do that. Here's our future. This is what we think will accomplish those needs. And then they say, okay, well, we are at least willing to have you apply for funding.